Right, so I'll move on to shale because this is really where the drift of it is. First of it is the US is 40 times the land area of the UK, so they've got a lot of room to play. 2 BCF per day is something to think about, which is 20% of UK demand. The famous shale unconventional plays in the US is the Barnett. It produces 5 Bs a day. There are 16,500 wells plus another 2,500 permitted. The Buckee isn't really a shale play. It's got a little silty member. It produces from a silty member. It's what we call halo oil. So it's priced in by $100 a barrel. It's not unconventional other than its low rate. But the one I want to talk about is the Eagle Ford, which is the poster child. That's 8,000 square miles, 3,500 wells, 217 rigs, and it produces 2 BCF per day. So if you want to reproduce the Eagle Ford, which you probably, for your 2 BCF per day, you're going to have 8,000 square miles, 3,500 wells, 200 rigs drill. It's not going to happen. Okay, so there's 4,500 permits in 2012. This is moose pasture. You've got to have a lot of moose pasture to drill up shale gas, and the Lake District just doesn't hack it. This is when it's drilled up. This is the Barnett. This is what it looks like. And I put it to you, we'll never see that. I don't think, anyway, see that in the UK, even if it works. This is a fracking collection. There are 50 trucks there. It pumps 10,000 tons of water, etc. I don't think there are this many pumper trucks in the UK. So a typical frac size in Canada is 5,000 feet horizontal, 1,000 tons of proppant, there's the 10,000 tons of water plus biocides, surfactant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It of itself is harmless. It's what you do with the flowback. Alberta's the most fracked place on earth, maybe close to Texas, I don't know, and they're just fine, thank you. So all this fracking goes on at sub, 10,000 feet, and the aquifers are up at a few hundred. They don't talk to each other. George Mitchell took 18 years to make the Barnett work, so the chances of it working here instantly are low. Okay, I'm going a little bit more technical. The unconventional basically exploits the source rock rather than conventional traps or seal, etc. Talked about halo oil. I think the thing that really makes it work in the US is that the landowner gets the royalty. So we used to drill a lot of wells in the US. They'd say, come along in, knock the top off, make a nice flat pad here so we can put a house on later. And if you find something, we get the royalty. So the landowners would welcome people in. Here, it's not. They're talking about where to divvy up the spoils before they've started drilling. Okay. So another important point is shale is a size classification, not a mineralogical classification. You need very low V clay, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Tmax appears to be a critical thing. Overpressure is very, very good, and obviously thick is good. The basic thing is to frack something, it's got to be brittle, and to be brittle, it has low V clay. So it's got to, which is measured quite easily by Poisson's ratio. So you go from glass at 0.5 to mud at 0.2 or something. Okay. Just another picture of the Barnett. And then I can contrast all that with Quadrilla. Here, they're getting into all sorts of trouble trying to permit one well, where the other people are doing 5,000 a month. So this is just for interest. That people are going to protest, they'll fight. The political will is not there for the sort of density of drilling that's required for shale gas. Now, some technical points. I hope people can see that.
But these are the important things. TOC, porosity, sort of, water saturations, unacceptable. Permeability, we're talking hundreds of nanodarcy. And as I will put up later, the average gas molecule over 10 years travels 1 meter. Okay. The hardness, Poisson's ratio is the important thing. You need a low Poisson's ratio so it fractures, doesn't deform like mud. And it's becoming increasingly, so the water gradient's 0.443, something like that. These things are overpressured. And so you can in your mind, the source rock burps out hydrocarbons. Normally it's at pressure and it'll migrate. In the shales, it doesn't migrate, it stays there. So if you have a prolific source shale rock, shale, it'll be overpressured. Fractures play into it, which I won't bother with now, and obviously thick is good. So this just makes the point about the mineralogy. All those good places, Eagle Ford, Horn River, etc., are very low clay, and it doesn't really matter whether they're silicates or carbonates, as long as they have very low clay. This also for your later perusal. This is a horizontal well with 10 frac points. So this is done, we use a company called Packers Plus. It's got a tapered string and you put balls down and it fracks each bit in turn with, as I've said, maybe 1,000 barrels of water per frac. The point about these unconventional wells, they decline very, very fast. So you can see it goes from 250 barrels a day to 50 within a year. This is from a company I'm involved with. This is Montney. The last one was liquids. This goes from 3.5 million cubic feet per day to under 1 million in 2 years. So they decline very, very fast, and they're unpredictable. So this is a picture of the initial production 4-month average IP drilled by Shale in Western Canada. Nothing. There was no learning here whatsoever. It's all random. It's a crapshoot. And I put these up for people's perusal later. The rate versus ultimate recovery, maybe. Initial production, is there any learning over time? No. Frac size versus ultimate, no. Peak month gas against ultimate recovery, no. So people really don't understand at the moment what's going on. As we're in a geological building, shales are as variable as any other depositional environment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in detail, people don't know. Again, the important thing is, as Brian Hepp would understand, B is the important thing here, to know whether your well is going to flatten out, i.e. hyperbolic, or exponentially decline. The only reason that it works in North America is because they're hyperbolic, not exponential. This is what I was saying. Gas molecule movement in shale is on the order of 10 feet in the lifetime of a well, etc., etc., etc. A meter per year, etc. Right, let's just a second. Okay, so what about that is you pile decline upon decline, and eventually you can't offset the decline rates, and so the thing peaks, a bit like conventional oil. So the projections of US domestic production going forever, it's just rubbish in my mind, because it's composed of these high decline wells. And here, this is the EIA's projection. They've got deep water Gulf of Mexico, as I say, in my mind, maybe. Anyway, the lower 48 onshore tight oil is C5, and people don't use C5, don't consume C5. That makes the same point. So what happens? For
Companies doing unconventional, the debt piles up, the proved reserves go up, so they make a shed load of money, but the actual shareholders' equity dives through the floor. I find this is, for me, very, very powerful. This is energy return on energy invested. Okay, so in the good old days, like in year 2000, a gas well would make 35 times the gas production would contain 35 times the energy that it required to drill the well. According to this plot, by about 2014, it takes as much energy to get out as you produce. Ceteris paribus, it means it's uneconomic if everything's properly priced. But they're not properly priced, so you do have people limping along, but I'll bet Quadrilla never makes any money, for example. Okay. This is a slide showing how many wells you need to know what you've got if you're drilling up a new shale, for example, the Boland Shale. You need to drill at least 20 to 25 wells and test before you get any feel for the play at all. So the chance of doing that with one well is nil. And in conventional plays, you can do that. 1, 2, 3, okay, let's go. You can't do that with Shale. So that's what I intended to say. So.